Hey there, if you've been feeling like your career success is pulling you away from your family, or you're struggling to find the time to connect to the people who matter the most to you, you're not alone. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing 3 practical and science-backed ways to strengthen your family bond without sacrificing your ambitions or adding those additional stressors to your life. So stick with me because these tips can transform how you and your family connects starting today. Strong family bonds, they don't just happen, they're built with small incremental moments each and every single day. And whether it's sitting down for a meal together or having a quick chat about your day, or even a nightly bedtime routine, these rituals are what really create trust and closeness in your family unit. When life gets busy, these moments are the ones that are usually the first to go. But skipping them creates an emotional distance between you and your loved ones, that just gets bigger and bigger over time. And, in the beginning, you might not even notice it. It's kind of like, you get back from work, you have dinner, maybe you're like, let's just throw on a little TV today. Next thing you know, this becomes your habit where you're checking out. One of the things that we noticed in our family is that, sometimes it's good to sit down and have, a little TV time or movie time together. But the other thing is, if you just don't turn the damn TV on, there's all this space that gets created for you to have these conversations. And as an example, one of the things that I've noticed in my clinical practice as well as in my own family is families who regularly share meals together, or even just like a short conversation to kind of catch up on the day and kind of, let everybody know what went on when you were separated. Those families report feeling much more connected and much less stressed. So even if you're only taking like 5 minutes, that can make a huge difference. And really what I'm talking about here is quantity over quality. And I'm also talking about quality over time, right? So it's got to be a consistent thing. If you do it on every Monday and then you forget to do it for 3 more months, it's really not going to do that, right? But it's not going to have that outcome that you're looking for. But really remember, just 5 minutes a day can make a huge difference. And now, I can hear what you're thinking, right? There's Dr. Tom. I barely have enough time for myself. So how am I going to have time to do this for me and my family? And I get it, right? The truth is, these small rituals, they don't need to even be all that complicated. And just start with something like really simple, like asking someone, how was your day? While you're having a meal together or when they come home. And, one of the things you have to remember is with your kids, especially as they become teens, not every day will they be answering you the way you want to be answered. You have to let them answer their own way. And some days it's going to be like, meh, and other days they're going to really dive into it. I mean, even just yesterday and today. Yesterday, my daughter came home from, school. I had been doing a lot of work. We connected during dinner. But, the time before we ate and the time after we ate, it was just kind of these really, really short exchanges. And I was like, come on, you got to have more to say to me, right? But what ended up happening was we took our time. And then, dinner opened up a little bit. It closed down a little after, but we felt a little tighter, And then today I come back, I was out, she had come home from school. I walk in the house and we just had this crazy conversation that went on forever. And it was really like, I said, what happened at school? It was okay. It was good. So it wasn't like there's some big monumental event that happened. So one of the things we have to remember with other people, whether it's our kids or our spouse or whatever, is we have to focus on letting them be them, give them the space and the opportunity to converse with us, and just understand that sometimes they don't want to do it. But they do. From all of my experience and all the research I've looked at, is they do register the fact that you created the quality time for them, even if they're not fully engaged in it in a particular day. So do it 5 minutes each and every day, right? And another thing you could do besides just asking them how they're doing is maybe just say, hey, I want to read a little story to you. I get all excited about different things I've been reading or listening to, so I like to share a short excerpt, with my family. And, research really shows that these continuous touch points are the things that really improve your emotional well-being and really strengthen those family bonds. And, it's really these small rituals that truly add up over time, and they create this strong foundation for connection, no matter what those challenges that life throws your way. And speaking about connections, let's move on to point number 2, which is really setting shared family goals. So let's take a minute and talk about teamwork, right? Families that work towards shared goals, like planning a trip or tackling a home project, are often going to feel a lot more connected and a lot more aligned. It's like fun to do stuff together, but rather than just doing random stuff as it comes up, create some goals, because these goals are going to create collaboration and they're going to give everyone a reason to come together, right? Because a lot of times what you end up doing is the weekend comes around and you're like, oh, let's go do this. But it's really kind of what dad wants to do or mom wants to, and or one person or two of the three or two of the five people want to do. Let's come up with something that everybody can work on together, because that is super exciting and super fun. And it's like you can all have your own little piece of it, but then those little pieces come together into this really cohesive family project. Here's one of the challenges I hear all the time. It's really easy to feel like you're way too busy for this, to take on new goals or to sit down and even plan a project with your family. Everyone in the family is juggling their own priorities, and adding something, could feel a bit overwhelming. But here's the thing. Shared goals, they don't need to be elaborate. Start with something small, right? Maybe it's that family movie night where, everyone takes turns picking a movie. Or maybe you sit down and say, hey, let's have a healthier dessert. Challenge people to come up with different desserts, right? So we might have like homemade popcorn with different toppings, right? You might challenge someone to say, hey, I know that like at school when your friends bring in a cake or whatever, it's all this artificial colors and sweeteners, and it's like way too much sugar and all this other stuff, all the processed food. Say like, hey, I'm going to challenge you to see, let's have a competition, almost like Iron Chef, right? See who can make the best, healthiest dessert, not just the sweetest one, right? Do fun things. It could, it doesn't have to be that hard. I mean, it could literally be like, hey, let's clean up the kitchen together, right? A lot of things that we do is, we get busy during the day. And so in the evening, we like to unwind together. So a lot of times our dishes sit till the next day. And, some people like that, some people don't. But it's like, there's part of what we do together as a family is someone will unload the dishwasher, someone else will load it, someone else will do a lot more of the treat, of the cooking and all the other things. Or maybe, it could even be something like a family fitness challenge, maybe a weekend hike. People can plan different places to go, a bike ride, but it's more about that consistency, right? And it's also about these moments of collaboration, because these are opportunities to create memories for you and your family. And it's also building teamwork. And what's really cool is, my wife and I use teamwork for our jobs, and we also use teamwork in our family to get things done. But teamwork as a family is teaching our daughter to collaborate with others in her life. So we're taking these opportunities to create a deeper family bond, but also to teach all of those core values that are so important to our family. And I will say, like, you can have your family mottos and you can have all the rules and regulations, and you can even have like the 10 different, core values, or the 5 core values of our family. But if you don't live them and you just talk about them, your kids know that you're full of shit, right? You really do need to be focused. And it's better it's really our kids, and even though the adults around us, they're more influenced by what we actually do rather than what we say. So these opportunities for collaboration not only create those memories, but they are teaching moments where you're leading by example. And that's so important, right? I can hear some of you out there going, this is just one more thing that I have to do. But what I will say is that families who regularly pursue goals together, they often report feeling closer, more aligned with their personal as well as their family values. And, the rewards far outweigh any effort. And the part that I love so much about it is that in the beginning, it might seem weird. It might seem like you're not being successful. It might seem a little hard to get going. But after you do it for a while, the rewards just flood in, and the conversations and the connection just becomes more and more effortless. And then you're actually getting time back because you're not all stressed out, man. You're chilling, right? So by setting these goals, you're going to foster that sense of teamwork as well as family accomplishment. And those things are going to strengthen your family bonds in a very meaningful way and teach the others in your family, especially your children, these life lessons about how to really act, because you're leading by example. So now let's talk about how to protect those goals, right? And your family time with effective time management. And this last strategy this is a game changer, and it's time blocking, right? This is one of the simplest ways that you can ensure that your family gets the attention that they deserve. The other thing is pretty much anything in your life that's important should have a time block. Because if you don't put a block in your calendar, guess what? It's not going to happen. This is such a simple and effective strategy, not just with your family, but in your entire life. And if you start to do some time blocking, you're going to notice that you have more and more time all the time. In fact, time blocking, before I dive into what just happened to me with time blocking, because I think it's really going to be helpful to understand it. What is time blocking, right? And really, time blocking is creating this like dedicated, specific, non-negotiable block of time in your calendar. And in this respect, what we need to do is we're going to create that block for time to spend with our family. And this is non-negotiable. It is all about having to stick to that. So if you say that you're going to sit aside like 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. as family time, make it distraction free. No phones, no work, no emails, just focus on being present for your loved ones. And the hard part is actually committing to it. Life gets hectic. Then, it's easy to let other things really creep into those time blocks. And this is what I used to do, right? I used to say, well, I have a block of time here. Well, I'll just move it to later. Well, guess what happens? You put something into that block and then later never comes, right? Because you're too tired or that hectic life happens. So recently, one of the things I did was redo my calendar. And I usually do it twice a year. And I look, are my blocks working effectively? Has my work schedule changed a little bit, or my recreation schedule, which does change at different times of year? Like, I want to just make sure I'm as efficient as possible moving everything around. And what I found was I wasn't honoring all my blocks. So you know what happened? I started to miss out on things. I wasn't getting as much done. When I did have that family time, which I protected a lot, like 98% of the time, I was still sometimes thinking of it. So maybe I wasn't really protecting it as much as I thought, because a text would jump in. Oh, I forgot that about work. I have to write it down, right? What I realized was that I wasn't really honoring those blocks as best I could. So I was getting things like, I might go, oh my God, I remember something for work, or I need to check this email. I got to grab that text, and every once in a while you're going to have to do that, right? But you really need to honor that time and not do that, because what happens is when you start to really honor those blocks as non-negotiable, and the thing you said you're going to do during that time, you do, you're going to find out that you actually have tons of extra time in your life. It's a way to prevent you from wasting time. And the thing is, and this is a sad part, in families, we very commonly, the family is the last one to get that time. And if you don't block the time and then honor it for your family, they're going to feel it more than anything else. Because like at work, you might not have gotten it all done, or you just do more work later, right? That's why we're all working 10, 12, 14 hours. I don't do that, because I have other things that are more important, that give me energy, that clear my mind, that help prevent, when I'm getting ready to go to bed, part of that is spending time with my family, because it helps ground me. I feel that love and gratitude, and that gives me an opportunity to get towards the end of the day more in this parasympathetic state, so I can get to sleep. So there's a lot of benefits beyond just what's directly happening with the family. But I don't want you to take away from today's video anything other than make your family and your loved ones your priority. When I talk about time blocking, a lot of people say, Dr. Tom, little too rigid. I have an unpredictable schedule. My schedule needs to be all over. But the reality is, like I mentioned just a moment ago, that structure, it actually creates freedom for you. So if you're not being constantly torn between work and family, because, like during this block, I'm working, and during this block, it's family, you're able to be fully available for the task at hand, and it will pay huge dividends in your family life. And those huge dividends, those payoffs, you're going to feel so much better about yourself, because you feel more present. You're totally less stressed. You're more deeply committed and connected to your family. And it doesn't feel like you're sacrificing your career, because what ends up happening is you're more productive. You're more focused, right? That's what this is like the holy grail. So time blocking, when you start to find that it works for your family, you're going to do more of it in work. And and I can't say enough about how important it is to me that all of us connect more deeply to our family and our friends. This feeding of our innate human nature is so important for success in all areas of our life. So there you have it. My top 3 science-backed strategies to strengthen your family bond. This daily connection rituals, those shared goals, and time blocking. So the greatest part about all 3 of these is that none of them require huge changes, but when you do them together, you can create a lasting impact on all of your relationships, especially those right in your own home. So if you found this helpful, please hit that like and subscribe button so that you can get more tips on balancing success with deep human and family connections. So remember, life is too short. Don't miss out on any of the moments that you know are going to matter the most. So, and as we close up, I just want to say, like, there's times in my life where I've not been home, right? I've had to do something for work or our career. But man, I miss my family so much. I miss my daughter Talia so much. And when we get back together, it's like, let's stay super connected. It is so important to me because when she's 6 and 8 and now she just turned 15, if I miss those days, I don't get those back. There's always more time to do work. There's always more time to make money. There's always time if you really want to, and I strongly recommend you don't, but there's always time to be more stressed. Just don't do that though. Block time and live in the moment with your family. You never know how long your life is gonna be, but what I do know is you have this moment to connect to those around you. So, I wanna say thank you so much for watching, and I'm definitely excited to see you next time. So make sure you take this time out. Of those 3 tips, which one are you gonna implement tomorrow? And after you do that for a week, add the second one and add the third one. Please, if you have any other tips, did I miss any other ones? Please, throw them down in the comments. Let me know. If you have questions, or you've tried one and had a little, difficulty with it, just reach out, let us know in the comments, and let's get this conversation going, because this is all about taking time for our family to nourish them and to nourish ourselves. Thanks so much for joining me. It's Dr. Tom. I will see you next time.